Greetings, and welcome to the Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. We hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and you can find us at the corner of Broadway and Church Streets at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings, or you can find us online at bgmethodist.org and on Facebook at Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. We hope you're having a great 4th of July weekend. In this message, we're talking all about David and how he could hold on to the big picture. The question we ask and answer is if David was really an underdog in his fight against Goliath, or if there was something else going on.
So this morning we are in the story of David and Goliath. And now this is a story that has kind of made its way into even our popular culture, to the point that, if you hear someone facing really big, almost insurmountable odds, we describe that as being a David and Goliath type of situation. And we do that for a really good reason. It's because, we think of David in the story as being an underdog, that he is someone who is going up against these incredible odds, and he's got a very long shot of winning in the middle of all of this. And that's a story, that's the kind of story that we like. Especially as Americans, we love a good underdog story because our story is an underdog story. Because, we started off here, we took on the greatest military in the world at the time, and we won. And then, even after we kind of got ourselves established here, we took another step, and we had folks that came to this nation who were the folks many a times who had lost everything, who didn't have much, who were not always welcome in their home countries, and they came to the United States. And that's where they began to build their life. We are a country that is almost quite literally made up of underdogs. We like that kind of story because we like it when folks can go and can be victorious over whether we're talking about great big giants in Goliath or we're talking about just incredible odds that they're facing. We like those kinds of stories. But I'm not so sure that David was actually an underdog. It looks like it, and that's the way we tell the story, but I'm not so sure that David really was an underdog in all of this. So we look at how David responded in this story. Either David has the biggest case of little man syndrome I've ever seen, or David knew something that we didn't know. Because we look at what he says in verse 26, David asked the soldiers standing by him, "What will be done for the person who kills that Philistine over there and removes this insult from Israel? Who is that uncircumcised Philistine anyway that thinks he can get away with insulting the army of the living God?" Or we go to verse 32. "Don't let anyone lose courage because of this Philistine," David told Saul. "I, your servant, will go out and fight him." Or verses 36 and 37. "Your servant has fought both lions and bears. This uncircumcised Philistine will be just like one of them because he has insulted the army of the living God." "The Lord," David added, "who rescued me from the power of both lions and bears will rescue me from the power of this Philistine. And go," Saul replied to David, "and may the Lord be with you." And then verses 45 to 47. "But David told the Philistine, 'You are coming against me with sword and spear and scimitar, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of heavenly forces, the God of Israel's army, the one you've insulted. Today the Lord will hand you over to me. I will strike you down and cut off your head. Today I will feed your dead body to the dead body and the dead bodies of the entire Philistine camp to the wild birds and the wild animals. Then the whole world will know that there is a God on Israel's side. And all those gathered here will know that the Lord doesn't save by means of sword and spear. The Lord owns this war, and he will hand all of you over to us.'" David doesn't sound like much of an underdog when you hear him in the middle of all of this. David is pretty confident about what it is that's going on and about what it is that he is going to be doing. What I start to get curious about, though, in the middle of all of this, is why David and not Saul? Because we look at this, we see even David standing up in front of Saul. David is there. Here is Israel's king, Saul, who is there, if you were ever going to picture a king, Saul is that. He is described earlier in 1 Samuel as being head and shoulders taller than everyone else around him. He just looked the part of a king, and yet here is this little guy, David, standing up in front of him, not even really deferring to him as a king, and he is standing up saying, I can go take on this guy who everyone else is afraid of, and I can do this because I know God is with me. I can handle anything that you are going to throw at me. David got something that Saul didn't. David could remember the big picture. David could remember what was really going on here. This was something Saul wasn't good at. Saul couldn't remember that big picture, but David could. Even later in his life, when David would make some pretty serious mistakes, and you go back and read the story of David and Bathsheba, and you can see what David did, he would remember that. He would be sometimes prodded rather forcefully. Read the prophet Nathan's response to David when all of this happens. But David would return to God. David would come back to God and acknowledge what it was that he had done wrong, and remember that God is bigger than him. David would remember that big picture, and that God could handle all of those things no matter how big the odds were. And so that's why when David sees Goliath, David isn't really seeing a giant of a man. If you were to ask David when they come down and they're facing one another, who was at a disadvantage on this field, everyone watching this would say David is. David's response to that would be, well, Goliath is. Goliath only has an army back there to back him up. That's all that he's got. He may be like 9 or 10 feet tall, but that don't mean a whole lot. Because David says, I know that God is here with me, and that he will be victorious over this Philistine. David would look at that and say, the little man here is Goliath. It's not me. That's how David was seeing what it was that he was facing. So what do we do in the middle of all of this? Because we aren't all going to be David. That's probably a good thing. Mostly because I'm as good with the slingshot as I am with a fishing pole. And so that's not going to win me any favors. But there is something that we can take from this. Something that's really important. That is that we can remember that big picture. We can remember that big picture. We can remember what it is that David does in all of this. And so the first thing, don't lose the big picture. That's the first part of that. Don't forget who God is. That's where Saul failed. As king, and I could spend an entire month going through why it was that Saul failed as king. But that, in a short few words, explains it, is that Saul lost the big picture. Saul began to focus more on being king and less on what it was that God wanted him to do than he was, and so he lost it. Saul became worried, he became anxious, he became fearful and incredibly paranoid. If you read through more of 1 Samuel, you'll see kind of Saul's degeneration as king as he becomes increasingly more fearful and paranoid, especially in David as time goes on. Saul lost it. His fear and his worry ate him up from the inside out until when he got to the end, all that was left of him was that fear and was that worry. On the other side of that, what can we do? That's this next part. We can give it to God. And in fact, this is what I want you to do this next week, is to take one thing that you are worried about, or that you are afraid of, or fearful of, or that concerns you, and it doesn't even have to be something big, but take that one thing, and the first part, just being able to name that is important for the first step. But then to take that and say to God, God, I can't handle this, I can't do this on my own, I need your help in overcoming this, and give it to Him. Now, sometimes what happens is that, sometimes just the act of naming what it is that we are afraid of or that we are worried about and saying and giving that over to God, that weight is just immediately released just off of us and we feel like we can handle whatever it is. Sometimes, if we're fortunate, that's exactly what it is that's going to happen. Now, more often than not, though, what happens is that we've got to remind ourselves of that. Is that we've got to go because we aren't very good at letting go of those things and really giving them to God. So sometimes we've got to say over and over again, when that worry and that fear comes back to us, we've got to say, God, here it is. I know I said I gave this to you, and I'm really trying to give this to you. I'm going to give this to you again. I'm going to remind myself that I have given this to you, and we just have to practice that over and over and over again. And the more we can practice that, the more then that in time what we find is that we in fact truly have given that over to God, because eventually that lesson does sink in. And we realize that we have given that over to God, and that weight is gone from us, but it is hard. It's not easy to do, and it takes some work, but we can in time give that over to God and let go of that fear and those worries and those concerns that we hold on to. Because all of us probably know someone, or know several someones. I know, I'm only going to be 35 next month, and it's still in those 35 years, I've met quite a number of people who I can point at and I can say, let that worry and that fear and that concern eat them up from the inside. To the point that, a lot of times when I've met them, they were already, they were being governed by their worry and their fear. They weren't able to do anything that they wanted to do because they were being controlled by those other things. Whereas if we can give that over to God and say, God, you can handle this because I can't. We can remind ourselves of that on a regular basis. We can begin to let go of those things. We can begin to live out that life that God has called us to, and we can let go of those things that would try and control us. And we can be those people that God intended. So go this week, let go of, even if it's a small thing, find one thing that you can let go of and say, God, I'm giving this to you because I can't handle this. You take this on, and help me to remember that I've done this as time goes on. Let us go and do that, and share that also with the folks around us. And see what God will do with us when we can let go of those things and give it over to Him and remember that big picture. We do that in His name. Amen.